About 3 years ago, here in Nha Trang, or as the locals say, Nha Trang, I met Vicky, a 26-year-old Vietnamese woman. And yeah, she had an English name because some Vietnamese girls, they like to give themselves English name because foreigners have difficulties to pronounce the Vietnamese names. And I started to date her, and later we were going out with each other, and this is the story of how fast Vietnamese women actually can move or make a move if they really want. And I believe this video here is insightful into the Vietnamese dating dynamics, yeah, because later, as you will figure out when I tell you the story, I also was very confused and things were happening which made me really scratching my head. Yeah, so Vicky, 26 years old, I met her on an online dating site called Vietnamese, Vietnam Cupid, I believe is the name. And she was from this area here, not directly from Nha Trang, but from a smaller city up north. This is where she came from. And yeah, I remember our first date. She was actually very quick to meet, you know. I don't know, I don't even remember how we got in touch. Did she text me or I texted her? I don't know. Anyway, she was very quick to meet up in person. And that was already a little bit strange because normally the Vietnamese girls, you know, they take it slow or slower. But anyway, so she wanted to meet up already after one day or something like that. So we met in a coffee shop. And then the first big shock already, no English, right? She didn't speak any English. Okay, I was used to that already. So here we go with Google Translate, right? So yeah, it was kind of pain in the ass, you know, because how do you communicate? How do you crack jokes? How do you want to be funny and relax and this and that? But anyway, we kind of managed. We had a conversation via Google Translate and all was good. The most important thing was that we kind of both felt comfortable with each other, and that was the most important thing for me, and I guess also for her. And already on that same afternoon, it was a late afternoon then, we decided to have some dinner. Hi, xin chào. So we decided to have some dinner. There was a nice barbecue across the road on the beach side, and I remember we had to cross the road. And you know these roads here in Vietnam, also here in Nha Trang, you know, that was the main road here. A lot of traffic, you know, the cars and motorbikes, they won't stop for you. So we crossed the road, and she suddenly took my hand. She grabbed my hand, holding my hand, and that was. And once we finished crossing the road, she kept holding it, and that was very strange, you know. I thought to myself, I mean, on one side it was nice, you know, I really liked it, but on the other side I was a little bit suspicious because, you know, Vietnamese women, they're not that fast. I don't even know. She don't even know me. I don't even know her, and she already is holding my hand now, and we're walking like a couple already to the barbecue place. Anyway, we had dinner, and then after the dinner we went to the beach. It was already nighttime, and you know, a lot of Vietnamese people also like to hang out at the beach during the nighttime because it's cooler. So we sat down on the beach just to chill out and relax. We're kind of lying, you know, and suddenly she started to lay her head on my stomach also. So that kind of stuff, you know. I was confused, but she told me also later she felt very at peace and relaxed with me. So I believe she just felt doing these kind of things. A few days later, I remember I asked her why she wanted to go out with a foreigner, and she told me that at the hotel she worked at, she worked in a hotel here, in a 5-star hotel, in the spa department. So I asked her, so why are you interested to meet foreigners? And she said, you know, we have a lot of foreigners at our hotel here, and I always see them, these couples, and how happy they are, and this and that. And I also hear that foreign men are more romantic and this and that. So that was a reason to kind of hook up with a foreigner. So that were our initial dates, basically. So everything went actually very smooth also for me. We did island hopping tours together. I remember the morning when we met, before we went island hopping, she brought 2 base caps, 2 Adidas base caps, and I was forced by her to wear that Adidas base cap, although I don't wear base caps. And she also wore a base cap, so kind of a partner look thing, you know. But anyway, one day I was at my apartment, and it was evening already, maybe 7 p.m. I had a video chat with my buddy in Germany, I remember. And suddenly she texted me and asked me whether she can stay at my place tonight. And actually, and maybe you won't believe it, at this moment, at this time, it was not very convenient for me, because I had a chat with my buddy, and these chats are very long. Once a week I talk to him like for 3 to 4 hours, you know, very deep talks. We talk about everything. So I kind of value these talks and connections. So anyway, she told me a story, something like, yeah, she forgot her key at home, and her parents are not at home, nobody is at home, her brother is also not at home, she can't get home, she can't get into the door. So she has basically no other choice than to stay with me overnight. Okay, I said, baby, you come to my place, no problem. I had to cancel the call with my buddy. We were talking already. I said, you know, let's do it another time. And then she came to my room, and yeah, what happened next? Hold on for a second, because before I continue that story, I just want to give you a little bit of background information about Vietnamese girls and sex. Yeah, this is gonna be very interesting maybe for you now. So you have to know, or we have to know, and I didn't know at the time, that Vietnam is still a sexist and gender segregated society. Yeah, and we're talking here about the Vietnamese women's traditional role here in Vietnam. You know, there is no, if you believe it or not, there is no sex education in Vietnam, as far as I know. At least not until a few years ago. Maybe that has changed. And so there is a lack of knowledge regarding these things, especially with the younger women in their 20s. Yeah, they lack that kind of knowledge, sexual knowledge. And it is also standard in Vietnam to not talk about emotions, especially not about sexual things, especially not for women. Yeah, this is very important to understand. This Vietnamese culture in that regard is not so open like the Western culture, you know. And this is a little bit hard to wrap our mind around, because I remember when I went to school in Germany in the 90s, we had sex education. You could buy books about this topic. I just grew up like this, and for me it's completely normal. Yeah, but here in Vietnam, clocks are ticking differently. So it will be very, very unlikely for your girl, your Vietnamese girl, your Vietnamese girlfriend, whatever, to say, for example, to you, kiss me, or I wanna have sex. Yeah. Why is that relevant now? Because this is how the story continues here with my date at the time. Remember, she lost her keys. Apparently, she didn't lost her keys. She didn't lose. She couldn't get into her home. She asked me whether she can stay at my place. She arrived at my apartment, and then we had some dinner. But then real quick we went to bed, to sleep, you know. And I know this from other Asian women, Southeast Asian women, when they are like, when they say, let's go sleep, then I know already what time it is, and you might also know, right? Exactly. So that was my experience. So we went to bed, switched off the light, but I don't know. Nothing really happened, and she was lying there like a stone, you know. Well, I was also confused, you know. I don't know. I didn't really know what to do. And maybe you're laughing now, but I didn't know what to do. Oh, Marcel, no, you should have initiated everything. Yeah, I know how to play also, but you know, I didn't have much experiences with Vietnamese women at the time, and she was so, I don't know. So long story short, nothing happened during this night, and I found it odd, I found it strange. I also was a little bit pissed the next morning, to be honest, but never mind. I just wanted to share this here with you. And this is probably the thing, you know. They will not initiate anything. So there was another, yeah, anyway, we kept traveling around the place, you know. I remember we went to one beautiful lake here in the area in Nha Trang. It also has mountains here. There are mountains here and stuff, so very nice. We went to a lake. I thought I'm in Germany, you know. And we had lunch, sitting there having some nice hot pot, and suddenly she asked me, she didn't ask me, she used Google Translate all the time. But she asked me, you know, Marcel, tell me, what is now between you and me? And I remember my answer to her was, yeah, that's a good question. Let's talk about it. What is between you and me? Because, you know, I was confused. What is this whole thing? We are holding hands. We are walking around like a couple, but there was no sex, no nothing. And then this incident in my room the other day. So I was really confused, you know. And this is another characteristic for these Vietnamese girls. They play this hot-cold game, you know. So hot, cold. Hot means the behavior my Vietnamese girl at the time displayed, you know, grabbing my hand, holding hand, moving very fast, and sleeping at my place, and texting me all the time. This is when she is so-called hot, you know. And this is a critical moment you have to understand, because this is then the right time to actually announce to her that you are now boyfriend and girlfriend. And if you don't do that, she becomes very cold, yeah, and you might have lost the chance to get together with her at any rate, okay? And this is crucial here to understand in Vietnam. So she asked me, Marcel, tell me, what is now between you and me? And I was confused, you know. Because in Germany, for example, we don't ask these questions. We get together with a girl, we start dating, we come closer, and before you know it, you are together, you are a couple. It's like fluent. There are no steps, there is no sequence to it, you know. But here in Vietnam it is. So in hindsight I know that she actually wanted me to announce officially that I declared to her, I'm your boyfriend, you are my girlfriend. But of course at the time I didn't know about these things in Vietnamese dating culture. So I remember I didn't say anything to her. I just left the question open basically. So we were still confused after our trip. Later I remember she actually texted me, because we were discussing this also, you know, and she texted me then, and she specifically and very clearly again wrote me, texted me, explained to me that yes, I expect from you that you now declare that you are my boyfriend and I am your girlfriend, and no other girls, no other women, we are exclusive. And I was like, what? Like, what is this? Why do I have to declare that? I was really like, you know, I don't know. So this is what you need to understand in context with the Vietnamese dating culture. Also, your Vietnamese girlfriend you date. Yeah, I'm telling all this in case you are interested in dating Vietnamese women. So I want to prepare you a little bit here for things to come, you know, that may make you confused, and or maybe you have had this experience already and also scratched your head and were totally confused and didn't know what to do. But anyway, Vietnamese girls may be, and most likely also are, unwilling to openly discuss issues regarding relationships, okay? Vietnamese girls expect you to read her signals, so to basically to infer from her behavior what she wants and what she is up to. Good luck, right? If you don't know about these things, you wait and nothing is happening, and you think, oh, she's not interested in me, or she's just playing with me. The same thing what happened in my bedroom in my apartment, right? We were lying there and she was like a stone lying there, and I didn't know what to do. Probably I should have initiated something, right? But anyway, that's the thing to understand with these girls. There might come the point in time when you wanna kiss her, for example. So should you kiss her, and when? You can try it. If she is letting it happen, then if she's not resisting, then all good, I would say. Or maybe you wanna hug her and don't know what to do. Just give her a hug and see if whether she's resisting or not. Kissing, I mean, on the cheek or something like that, you know. And if she's not resisting, I think that's a good sign, you know. But the very, very important thing is to understand that in Vietnam there is a stronger cultural imperative for women to never acknowledge wanting intimacy or sex. This is very, very crucial to understand. This is one major difference between the Western cultures. This is very similar also to other Southeast Asian countries. Now there is a very strong cultural imperative for women here, for the girls, to never basically acknowledge that they want intimacy or sex. This is just the role of the women here. It's kind of the women need to be kind of more tricked into this whole thing. And we're talking plausible deniability. I have a video up, I released it last year, talking about plausible deniability and Indonesian women. It's the same dynamic, you know. In Western cultures, I know from my own experience, you know, the girls, when they want to have sex, you know, they go straight ahead. They let you know this way or the other. It's way easier to figure out for a guy. But here in Vietnam, you know, my experience at least is that way, you know. I don't know other guys and other Vietnamese girls, but anyway. So also keep in mind that once you kissed her, okay, either on the cheek or even on the mouth, that equals basically that you are her boyfriend already. So be very careful what you're doing, okay? This is not such, there's not so much flirting here like in Western cultures. Yeah? But even before you can kiss her, you might also have to acknowledge many times to her and assure her and reassure her that you are now her boyfriend and she is your girlfriend. I think by now you get the idea already what it's all about, right? So yeah, and even if you are a couple already, you better still give plenty of assurances to her and reassure her that you are a couple, that you are a boyfriend and girlfriend, that you are exclusive, there are no other women involved, you know, before you take things any further. Yeah. And I'm talking really what I mentioned already, these formal assurances. Yeah, really, like a statement. Honey, yes, I'm your boyfriend, you're my girlfriend, something like that, you know. Also, it would help them if you if you have a Facebook account or something, that you maybe post her picture as your profile picture, you know, or put her picture as the wallpaper in your phone, or have video calls with her parents where her parents are involved, things like that, you know, to reassure her all the time. This is what I learned about Vietnamese dating culture, and this is also what I learned from other Vietnamese women by talking to them, and it really basically hits the nail on its head with the date I had at the time here in Nha Trang. This was a classical, typical case. This woman, Vicky, she behaved like that, right? But of course, you know, some of you guys might have had relationships with Vietnamese women, or you're married to one, or you have a girlfriend from Vietnam, and maybe these girls behave a little bit differently, of course, you know. I don't want to generalize here, I just want to give you my personal experience with this woman, with Vicky, how I got to know her, what we did, and my personal experiences, and how confused I was about her behavior, and I didn't know what to do. But now I know better. But I'm not saying, of course, that all Vietnamese women would behave the same way, you know. We are talking Nha Trang. This is basically still here the mentality of the people here in Nha Trang, you can say. And I'm not saying this in a bad way. It's a fisherman village mentality still here, you know. It used to be a fisherman village, and it has developed very rapidly. Yeah, but it's still like countryside. If you go to Saigon, I think the clocks are ticking differently there, and the girls are way more open, maybe, you know, and relaxed and more westernized and this and that. This is what I hear from Saigon. I never dated a girl from Saigon. I dated a Vietnamese girl from here in Nha Trang, and the other one was from Hoi An, central Vietnam. Also a very small town, you know. So I don't have experiences with these worldly city girls. So what happened next? Yeah, the end of this story is that later she told me that she is a single mom. I remember she texted me and told me that yeah, she has something, she wants to tell me something very, very important, and whether or not she can do that. I said, yeah, go ahead, of course. And then she told me that she is actually a single mom. She has a 8-year-old or even 10-year-old boy already, and the circumstances under which she became pregnant are not so nice, to put it mildly, because violence was involved, if you know what I mean. And that happened when she was apparently 16 years old only. And wow, that was a bomb, you know, a bomb dropping. And I was, of course, shocked to hear that, but I felt very unsure and insecure. I didn't know how to deal with that kind of situation. Number one, now I knew she is a single mom, which I didn't know before. And I was not really interested to date a single mom. And then secondly, the background, how it all happened, how she became a single mom. And that was the point where I basically decided to drop out of this whole thing, because it was too much for me. I didn't want to get involved in this, because this woman certainly suffered from trauma also, you can imagine. And I didn't want to get involved into this tricky situation, because yeah, I don't want to say she had skeletons in her closet, but that was how it felt for me. And I didn't know, are there more skeletons in her closet, you know? With this bad background, it's not her fault, of course, and she was a good girl, no problems, no issues with that. She wanted a relationship. I now in hindsight can understand her even better. Single mom, you know, under nasty circumstances. She became a mom under very, very nasty circumstances, and now you know how it is here in Vietnam, you know, and in other Southeast Asian countries. Single moms had a difficult stand in these societies, you know. So in hindsight, it makes all sense. But at the time, guys, I was not ready for this. I didn't want to put up with this. Like, I felt not confident to handle this whole thing, and I didn't want to get involved in these matters and issues. So with that being said, I'm checking out for today. I hope this video could enlighten you a little bit about Vietnamese dating culture, dating dynamics. This is how it went with my date here. That was my first date in Vietnam after many, many years. And yeah, as you could see, it was confusing. And but I learned also my lessons. I find it still very, very fascinating and interesting, you know, how these things work in other cultures and countries with the girls and everything, and you know, and how many misunderstandings actually can happen, and it's no one's fault, right? Really. But these misunderstandings happen, and then I got maybe angry at my girlfriend at the time because she was like lying like a stone in my bed and nothing. So, you know, so a lot of misunderstandings can happening if you don't know about these dating dynamics and how things work, right? So therefore this video, and I think what we learned here in this video, you can apply more or less to all of these Southeast Asian nations, cultures and countries. Okay, I'm checking out now. Thanks for watching. Looking forward to your comments, especially comments from guys who have or are in relationships with Vietnamese women, Vietnamese girls who are married to Vietnamese women. I'm looking forward to learn, also to hear. And I know there is demand. My Vietnamese dating videos are in demand. They are being watched. I receive many comments and questions, but also I receive many comments from guys who share their experiences with their Vietnamese women and wives, you know, and how it all went, and it's very interesting. So that's it for today. Gonna see you in one of my next videos. Take care. Bye bye.